And cubism is awesome. I want to take this 100-year-old art style that was favored by Picasso and George Braque and lots of other interesting artists and stuff like that. Their ability to see an object from multiple perspectives, their geometry, their cool fact that they had lack of actual perspective in the whole painting. It's just an overall interesting art style to develop, but it was mainly developed with portraits and still life. However, I want to try and develop it with cool cars. That's what I like to paint. And I want to try and push these cars to a cool cubism style. It happens. See, this is part 15th of my journey, and I'm just exploring all the different ideas in cubism, how they actually created those cubist paintings and stuff like that, and applying those same techniques to automotive design. I'm painting like realistic ones like this Land Rover that I did. I'll be doing cubism style, like this skyline I did. And I just love how this is a completely new perspective on how I looked at an R34 skyline. Just something that's never seen before. So I want to try and explore those kind of ideas within vehicles. Last week we did the Seat Ibiza. Now this was pretty interesting one I did with acrylic paints, but this time I want to go back to oil pastels because I love the grungy kind of look that oil pastels get. And this week we're working on a Mark 3 Golf. Cubism Journey Part 15. I'm looking at the Max Power magazine. This is February year 2000. And in this magazine we have a Mark 3 Golf, which I thought would be really cool to do as a cubism painting. These magazines are great for inspiration because they offer loads of different variety of views, because these builds are absolutely amazing from back in the day. All the different details that they have with the interior, the exterior and stuff like that. So I want to apply all these different angles together in one combined painting, and we'll see what happens. There's no pre-sketch to these actual paintings. There's no idea how it's going to actually look. I can't really imagine how this is going to perceive. It is far beyond my imagination to try and conceive how cubism is going to apply to a Mark 3 Golf. But that's where the journey is, and that's where the exploration is. So this is just fun experiments for me to explore. Let's go to it. Right, so let's get cracking with this cool cubism drawing. It's watercolour paper here, 300 GCM, so it's quite good heavyweight. I've got these really cheap oil pastels. These are like 20 pence each, really cheap. And I'm just testing it there to see if it looks alright. So I'm just doing this front view first. So I've got the headlight there with the grille and stuff. And I'm not doing all the details and stuff like that. I'm just doing the basic shapes, the drawing itself. So I might get some of that bonnet shape up there. Maybe this vent as well from the inside. Loads of cool like angles here we can go with. So there's an engine view here, tail light, side, wing mirror. Yeah, there's all sorts of cool stuff we can add. The tail light here. Maybe a shape from the seat with the tail light there. It's all going to be a bit confusing to start off with, but once I get going with it, it will all make sense. So a little bit of the wheel shape, maybe a side view of the car. Okay, so that's the rough sketch sorted out so far. It looks extremely confusing right now, but I'm just going to go with it and see what happens. So now I'm going to establish the darker areas within the actual geometric shapes that it's all broken into. Get from light to darks. So for instance, this area I'm going to have darker for this shape. So as if it's coming down here, then this shape, I'm going dark this edge. It's a bit light here, so I want this area to be darker. Okay, so we'll do this in time lapse and then we'll see what it looks like afterwards. Okay, so this is the results of all the shadows in the majority of the geometric shapes here. I'm actually kind of regretting the decision to do so many different angles and stuff because this looks absolutely banana. But hey ho, we'll see what happens at the end. It might just turn out to be really awesome. Just go with it. Like I said, none of these paintings are planned. Now this is orange colour, so I'm going to do a little bit of red from the black. A bit. I will use some oil at the end just to really blend it in further. So, and then from the red I'll go into a bit of orange. a bit too much of a light orange here, but with the red I think it will kind of look alright. And to not get too confused with this, because at the moment it does just look like a massive shard of shapes and stuff. I can tell some areas. This is the front headlight with the vents, the wheel, the tail light. This was the seat. This is a vent. Another headlight. There was somewhere looking like a rear view. So any of the windows I want to try and do in maybe a pale blue, but we'll see what happens. This is why a lot of these are all experiments, because I don't know what I'm doing really. I'm just following the basic rules of cubism and then applying those rules to automotive design, and that's it. And I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah. That's the fun of it though. I could do these like really cool realistic view, but then it's like, well, everyone's done that, you know. Let's just do something completely different that no one's ever seen before. So yeah, I might just do this section here, test it out with the oil to see what kind of reaction it will be, and if it's all positive and it's all go and it's all cushy, then I might just call it a night, because it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got to get up in about 5 hours, so I don't want to be too late, and I'll have a good test area and I won't be pondering it all night. So I'm worried this might be a bit too dark, because the blacks are blending quite a lot, so we'll have to maybe go back with whites to lighten it up a bit. Okay, for the next process, once I've got I'm just doing this wee section here just because I haven't got much time tonight, but I just want to see how everything goes, and if everything goes alright tonight, I'll do the rest of it tomorrow. So I've got some really cheap linseed oil. This is a really budget friendly actual drawing. I mean, I've got these really cheap pastels which are already starting to break, as you can tell by the black one. So just not very expensive materials, cheap pastels. This was in a box of like art supplies or something like that, so it's not very much. And I just put in a wee tub here, the oil, and just an old brush that I have. And I don't want to go from black to the colour, because that will darken it up, make it too dark. So I'm going to go from the colour here, and then push down into the dark areas. And this is a bit darker than I anticipated, so I might have to go back into this with maybe some Poscas or something like that, just to bring out some of these highlights. So I want this to look like it's coming out of a deep pit. And it's just, I'm not washing the brush or anything like that, so the brush is going to be quite grubby and grimy. But yeah, it's going to be the overall effect of it. Pastel in here, so I'm just drying off my brush in that area. So I don't want to push into the masking tape, because I might go underneath it, so I'm going to push off the masking tape, go that way into it. I might pull it off, so go over the masking tape, and I think it's good to emphasize some of the lines so they're not too lost. This is going to be a really dark area. Yeah, I can already see that this is going to be a bit more darker than what I wanted. It's not going to bring out that nice orange colour from the actual Mark III Golf. I don't know what kind of orange you would call that. It's like a blood red orange or something. And then compared to this, yeah, it's not the right colour. So I'm going to have to go back over that. But I'll have this as like a base layer. I don't know if I can go over this while the oil's still wet. It's not that kind of orange, it's more of a reddy orange. I'm just kind of smudging this around. I'm not really applying much to it, it's too wet. I'll go back over it once it's dried. But now that I've tested this area, I can apply better colour ratios in all the other aspects of it. What is this section? I can't remember. I think that was it. I'm getting lost in my own paintings. I don't know how they didn't get lost themselves. Maybe they purposely got themselves lost, I'm not sure. When Picasso and George Braque used to do it and stuff, maybe they were just like, when people ask them, oh, what's this certain area? And they're just like, I don't know. Just, yeah, what do you think it is? Because I know some of the cubism paintings that they did and that, they didn't actually use any photo references. But they labelled it as such things, and you can't really tell what it is. So you kind of use your own imagination. Okay, so I think that'll do for tonight's progress. I might do some of this in my spare time, but I'll come back to it and we'll see what happens. Initial progress so far. As you can see, I've just built up the layers with the oil pastels and then blended it together with some linseed oil. This is just some cheap linseed oil. I've just basically soaked up the pastels and just kind of like smoothed out all the areas and stuff. Did this out of my studio just because of the time restraints I have, and I've just like do it on the side. I don't always have the opportunity to work on my studio all the time. But yeah, overall it's looking really cool. I wasn't quite sure how it was actually going to turn out. It was a little desaturated when I blended it all together. The black did kind of blend a lot with the orange. I might go back into the black to identify some more of these shapes. I did use a bit of a Posca marker on top of here, which is a very opaque colour, just to increase the saturation just a little bit. I want to just identify some more of these geometric shapes I've got going with a few white highlights. I've done around here and a few, but up here I want to do some more. So just need like a little dab of white where I want the highlights to be. There, and there, and this is, I don't want these to be genetically like just little dots, but what I will do once I've added them, because it just takes a little bit, I'll then just smooth them out just by feathering the brush. Even just use my finger there, identifying highlights on this edge, then it's dark here, highlight on this edge but it's dark there. So I can kind of completely flatten the picture, where traditionally with paintings you'll have a certain dark area and a certain light area and stuff like that, you know, where the light's coming from, so you can create shadows. But with this it's kind of all random and stuff. I might actually just turn it around. It kind of still has the same effect where it's kind of all flat. And to keep this opaque as possible, I'm just taking it straight out the tube. This is just titanium white acrylic. I found this one quite opaque, so it's a little bit different than the other acrylics that I've used. The last paint I did was with the acrylic paints. This one I did with the oil pastels. I think I kind of like the oil pastels more than the acrylic paint. I love the kind of grungy kind of look it has, and how it desaturates the colours a bit more, so I like that kind of feeling. The acrylics are good, but I think I like the oil pastel. I don't know, I'll probably even try some in watercolour just to kind of compare it. I'm not entirely sure which ones would be best. Each one has certain different kind of effects. There is like different effects you can create with different kind of paints and different materials and stuff. It all just depends on what you want to really go for. I do like this grungy kind of effect this one has. I can recognise certain areas of this paint, this drawing and stuff, but yeah, there's a lot of areas which I'm just completely confused about where things are. But I know everything within the actual drawing itself has come from the vehicle, so I'm not stressing about it. It's just how the painting's been developed. You can add lots of different shapes in here, lots of different angles from the actual vehicle itself, and once you actually add those, it has a completely different new effect. I mean, with the regular kind of drawing and painting and stuff, you can, the whole point of it is to actually easily identify it to the actual vehicle itself, to make it maybe photorealistic or hyper-realistic. this you're just getting the general necessity of the raw ingredients of the actual vehicle, and it creates a new effect. So I've just gone with black oil pastel here, and I'm just trying to create some more of those lines. Like I know this is the wheel here, headlight, this is the shape from the side. For this drawing, I couldn't, with my other paintings and drawings like that, I could probably work on them for a lot longer, but time is pressing, and there's moments where you've just got to say, yeah, you know, that'll do. I'm happy with the result. Because I mean, there's a lot of drawings I could do and I could work on more, but you know, times are fleeting. It is now like 1:30 in the morning. I've got to get up, and as much as I'd want to actually spend more time on paintings and drawing stuff, I've just got to call it quits sometimes and just be happy with what's happened. So I think I'm happy with that. I'll probably go over just the last 2 minutes just to double check everything. But yeah, let's take this masking tape off and see how it's turned out. Really good. I love the colours that I've got, the geometric shapes formed and stuff like that. Really didn't expect how it actually turned out, but it turned out really good. I've got a good variety of views there. I can see like various front views, side views, rear views, bit of the interior, wheels, lights, vents, lots of cool areas covered with the actual painting. The only problem was with this painting, I didn't like, I think it got a bit too complicated with some of the shapes and didn't make some of them stand out. So it got a little bit confusing when actually doing the painting, whether what shape I was doing with what area and stuff like that. However, I think this was kind of good in a way and also kind of bad. It was bad to try and like figure out like which direction things were actually going, but there again it was fun to try and explore within this massive geometric shapes and stuff like that, because I knew all the geometric shapes, even though it was complicated, were all formed from the actual car itself. So no matter how it actually turned out, it was still from its original source. Compared to the last week I did it with acrylic paints, the Seat Ibiza. This one was a bit more cleaner, a lot less grungier, because the acrylic paints, they don't smudge as much as the oil pastels and stuff like that. I don't think I applied too many views with the last painting, so I tried to apply more, and also I didn't apply as much different colours. Last time I was actually scared to actually apply blues, and I thought it would make too much of a contrast. I tried to actually apply it with the Golf this time, the blues and stuff like that. Which is just the sky colours and stuff like that, just to give a bit more of natural tones to the actual cars itself, not just keep it monochrome, which is one colour. And I think with the grunginess effect of the actual oil pastels, it keeps the desaturation low, so the blues don't stick out too much. So overall, I think I'll give this one another 7 out of 10. Likewise to the Seat Ibiza one, 7 out of 10. Let's see what happens with the next experiment, shall we?